Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
The next victim would be 45-year-old Michelle Mason, who would go missing in August of 2008. And like the women before, she was someone with a very heavy addiction to drugs, specifically crack cocaine. And it's said that this addiction would be just as bad even after having 2 sons. At some point, Michelle would actually contract HIV. And at some point, Michelle Mason would actually be shot with a firearm in her eye. She would actually survive this encounter, and this encounter would be the very thing that would try to get her life together and be on the straight and narrow. She would actually kick the drug habit and would start beginning volunteering at HIV communities. It really would have been great to see the impact that Michelle would have made trying to get her life together. But unfortunately, she would not have the opportunity. Once again, another single African-American parent that had a history with drugs that would get a missing persons report that would unfortunately go unsolved. In November of 2008, 53-year-old Tanya Carmichael would also go missing. It's said that Tanya would be a person that would live life completely to the fullest. Working at a community college, and during her downtime, she was known for going on various different cruises. But unfortunately, like the other women, she too would have a crippling addiction to drugs. Her family would report her missing, and like the many others, the police would show no interest in solving her case for the sole fact, once again, this was another single parent that was African American with an addiction to drugs. Now, by December of 2008, it could be said that Anthony Sowell was seen walking through the streets, rummaging through the street corners looking for metal. He was currently unemployed at this time, and salvaging metal would be a way for him to collect income as a way to support himself. Now, while he was looking to salvage metal, he would walk in front of a woman by the name of Gladys Wade. It should also be noticed that this would happen in broad daylight and happen in front of multiple neighbors who would witness this. Wade would let her testify and say that as Anthony Sowell would approach her, he would punch her in the face. And after he would repeatedly punch her in the face, he would begin dragging her from the cornerstone from where he had found her and drag her into his home, where the two would quickly ensue into an altercation. As Anthony Sowell's intention was to not only drag her into the home, but to repeatedly grape her over and over and unalive her. But thankfully, Gladys Wade would actually get away from Anthony Sowell's grip and would run down the street, where she would run into a squad car that was patrolling the area. She would quickly tell the police that Anthony Sowell had assaulted her and dragged her into the home, to which the police would go to Anthony Sowell to ask about what had happened, and he would claim to the police that Gladys Wade had actually tried to rob him. And even though Anthony Sowell's injuries were nothing compared to the injuries that obviously Gladys Wade had, the police would actually decide to arrest both Wade and Sowell, where they were quickly released that same day. Which is another thing that's just kind of mind-blowing, considering the fact that this is the second time police had an opportunity to stop Sowell from hurting anyone else. And also keep in mind that once he had left prison, he was diagnosed as a low-risk repeat offender. And this would be the second time that he had assaulted a woman, obviously repeating an offense where he should have been thrown in jail and locked away. But unfortunately, the police would do nothing, and Anthony Sowell would bring in the new year with another missing woman. In January of 2009, 44-year-old Kim Yvette Smith would go missing. It should be noted that Kim would be the only of Anthony Sowell's victims that would not have any children. And it's said that Kim would spend her days taking care of her will-bound father, Donald Smith. Now, Kim had previously had run-ins with the law and had jail time, and also had previously a crippling addiction to drugs, primarily crack cocaine. But according to family and friends, after she would get out of prison, it's around this time that she wanted to kick the habit and live a very straight and narrow life. Friends and family would recall that the only thing that really mattered to Kim was she wanted to just live a good life and take care of her will-bound father. In April of 2009, another woman would go missing, and this would be 43-year-old Nancy Cobbs. And like the various other women, Nancy Cobbs was a single African-American mother that had a crippling addiction to drugs. But she too would try to get her life straightened out after being arrested. Leading up to her disappearance, she would tell friends and family that she may not have been the ideal mother that she had always wanted to be, but she could make up for it by being there for her grandchildren. It's said that on April of 2009, Nancy would be sitting on a cornerstone drinking beer with some relatives where she was quickly approached by a man who would invite her over to his place to drink and party. The family would say that they knew who this man was and would feel like that Nancy's life was not in danger. And that man would be Anthony Sowell. She would leave with Anthony Sowell to go to his place and was never seen from again. And also in April of 2009, another woman in her 40s would go missing, Amilda Hunter. It is said that Amilda Hunter was a woman that was a single mother of 3 that was typically a bookworm. And like the rest, she too had a crippling addiction to drugs. Only to be approached by Anthony Sowell with the promise of partying at his place, never to be seen from again. The family would perform a missing persons report, and once again, the police would do nothing. After these 2 women would go missing, it said that another woman would report Anthony Sowell to the police. And this woman too would claim to the police that Anthony Sowell had invited her over to his home where he would attack her and grape her repeatedly over and over. This woman would even go as far as going into the police station to make a report and even do a grape kit. But just like the missing persons report, the grape kit would do nothing, as they would just take the kit and place it on a desk, and just like the missing persons report, it would just sit on a desk and collect dust. This is just my personal opinion, but this is probably one of the worst cases of police bias and incompetence I have ever heard of in my entire life. And by June of 2009, 2 more women would go missing. The first would be 43-year-old Janice Webb, which family would claim that Janice had an extreme fond love for her family, but was also known to be somewhat of a prankster. It would say that prior to her disappearance that she started having a crippling addiction to crack. But like the rest, she too would go missing, never to be heard from again. The next woman to go missing would be 31-year-old Talisha Forson, and she too was a single mother of 3 with a crippling addiction to crack cocaine. Her family would report her missing, and like many others, the police would do nothing. But it is said that the family would come to the police station every single day to get updates and reports about their missing daughter. But regardless how hard they fought and tried with the police to find their daughter, her missing persons report would be just like the rest and would sit on a desk and collect dust. The final victim to go missing would be 38-year-old Diane Turner. Now, it has been said that Diane Turner would not live the best life, as she had spent most of her early childhood dealing with abuse, as well as a crippling addiction to crack cocaine. It is said that Diane Turner at some point was trying to get her life around so that she could be a good mother to her 6 children. But unfortunately, she would not get the opportunity to be a good mother to her 6 children. Her family would report her missing, and once again, nothing was done. It's also around this time that the community had pretty much gotten fed up with just the incompetence of the Cleveland, Ohio police, and they would start forming search parties looking for the women that had been going missing within their community within the last 2 years. And shockingly enough, of all the people that were going around looking for these women, Anthony Sowell would be one of the many that would be in these search parties. The people in the community and these search parties would often tell investigators later on that at this point in time, they were just tired of the police not doing anything, and they figured if the police were not going to do anything to help locate the missing African-American single mothers that had been going missing in the last 2 years, they were going to do something about it. And thankfully, the community would not have to go looking very long, as it's around September in 2009 when everything would come to a complete head, where not only the community, but the police and the entire world would be witness to what would be nothing more than a house of nightmares.